Paddle review day. Paddle review day. Paddle review day. Paddle review day. It's paddle review day. What's up, guys? It's Eddie. And today I want to talk about the new Vanguard Paddle by Selkirk. Now, Selkirk did send both me and Webby each one of these paddles, but they are not paying for this video. So we are going to give it our honest review, and actually, they really encourage us to do that. This is the Epic Midweight, coming in at just over 8 ounces. So from my perspective, it's very similar to what I currently play with, which is the PaddleTech Tempest Wave Pro. I've been playing with the Tempest Wave Pro for over a year now, this specific one since October when they came out with the new style. So fairly similar when it comes to shape and size and weight of the paddle specifically. Now, my initial reaction to this paddle is, it's pretty sexy, man. I gotta tell you, the styling of it is nice. It feels very comfortable in the hand. I love how they have the Selkirk branding along the side as well. It's styled incredibly well. I do like the red and black and gray colors to it. And what's important to me is how it feels in the hand, right? And this paddle definitely feels very well balanced. I've actually never hit a Selkirk paddle before. So not only is this gonna be my first time actually hitting the new Vanguard, it's actually gonna be my first time hitting with a Selkirk at all. As you guys know, I'm a little bit of a PaddleTech fanboy. As I mentioned, Tempest Wave Pro is kind of my go-to in my bag right now. And so that's ultimately what I favor. Something that is a very well-balanced paddle and has great control, great touch, but also gives you great power. I think it's also important to bring up my skill set. I am very far from a 5.0 or pro level player. Right now, I enjoy playing at the 4.0 level, and that's ultimately where I would put my skill set at. So as we're going through this review, remember, I'm at that intermediate to just getting into the advanced level of play, but I'm nowhere near someone at the top of the game, very far from it. So I was actually able to go out with my buddy Mark, and we drilled for a while, and then actually played some skinny singles with this paddle, and that's ultimately what I want to focus on here. When I start drilling, the first thing I always like to focus on is dinking. So as Mark and I were starting to warm up and dink, I felt very comfortable dinking with this paddle. It definitely had nice touch and nice feel to it. Things were going really well, and then I switched to backhand dinks, and that's ultimately where I felt like I first noticed that this paddle plays very differently from what I'm used to. I don't know if it's the new face that they're putting on the paddle, or maybe it's just a little bit different than what I'm used to, but I honestly felt like I wasn't able to slice the ball as well or how I'm used to doing it. Now, again, this could just be because I'm not used to Selkirk paddles at all, but that's ultimately where I felt like it was the first sign of, hey, this paddle plays a little bit differently than what you're used to. After dinking, I always like to go into third shot drops, right? And this is an area that, since I really started to understand the game, I always try and focus on, and it's something that I drill consistently with. And I've become pretty consistent with my Tempest Wave Pro when it comes to my ability to be able to properly drop that ball from really anywhere in the court, forehand and backhand. And I gotta tell you, right off the bat, I felt really good with the Vanguard. I felt like I had great touch, great control over it. Everything was going really well. But I noticed something during my third shot drops, and that was when I hit it outside of the sweet spot, and I'm just gonna say the sweet spot on this paddle is right about here. I'm guessing, I don't really know. But anytime I would hit it a little bit outside of that sweet spot, the paddle became very unforgiving. And ultimately, my shots would drop way short of the net. So when I was placing the ball properly in the sweet spot, everything was great. A little bit outside, and they were just coming up short. So I felt like maybe this paddle was a little bit less forgiving than my Tempest Wave Pro. Now, a skill set that I like to focus on a lot more now as I'm getting more advanced is my driving. I love driving the ball. And I love a paddle that's gonna give me the power and the control to really place that ball as I drive it. And once again, that's where I felt like this paddle shined for me. I was doing incredibly well when I was warming up with my drives, And as you guys know, when you're drilling with drives, the longer you go, the more you get tired. And what's the first thing to go when you start to get tired? It's your mechanics, your accuracy. And once again, I noticed that this paddle was a little bit less forgiving than what I'm used to. Once I drove and the ball hit it on the sweet spot, things were great. When I would maybe come more towards the handle a little bit or kind of ride the outsides, that's where my shots would really fall short. Now, my favorite thing to drill, resetting the ball from about mid-court and having your opponent give you a variety of shots, and all you're trying to do is just reset that ball and get it back into place. I think it's a skill set that as you become to that advanced level, you really need to master. And once again, the Vanguard did not disappoint. I felt really good about being able to reset that ball. I had great touch with it, great control. I was placing it really well and everything was good. Anytime I would try and reset the ball and the ball would hit my paddle a little bit outside of that sweet spot, again, it's almost like there was so much power taken away from that shot and it was very unforgiving. After drilling for quite a while, now we went into playing some skinny singles. And obviously when it comes to play, if you have a paddle that is good in just one of the areas of pickleball, you might as well get rid of it. I felt like I was able to really put that ball exactly where I wanted to with the right kind of spin and the right kind of power as I was making my way to the net, being able to reset the ball, being able to dink, place the ball properly. I felt very in control. Every time I would drive the ball, I felt like I was able to get plenty of power behind the ball and everything was good. I just was a little bit less consistent playing with this paddle than I am with my Tempest Wave Pro. Now, could it be that I'm just not used to this particular paddle, or maybe I'm not used to how Selkirk paddles play overall? That is very likely. So please take this with a grain of salt when I say that, but I did feel like I just had a little bit less consistency than when I normally play. I almost had to force myself and really put pressure on myself to be so accurate with every one of my shots that it kind of took away from the whole experience for me. So who do I think this paddle is for? I personally think this paddle is for somebody who's at that advanced level of play, or maybe they're coming from another racket sport where they feel like they have really good mechanics, really good hand-eye coordination, knowing where they're gonna be placing the ball on the paddle to really get the full use of this paddle. I would say that somebody that's more of a beginner or even beginner to intermediate who's kind of working on those skill sets, they're probably gonna struggle a little bit with this paddle. I've definitely struggled with it, and I could see that that would be something that would be a little bit frustrating for somebody who maybe is starting off. Especially with all the great things that this paddle has to offer, when you are accurate with it, I really think this is more suited towards that advanced level player. Now guys, let's talk a little bit about the price tag. I've seen rumors and I've heard chatter on the Pickleball forum about this costing $200. Yes, $200. Now that you've picked your jaw up off the ground, let's talk about that a little bit. So my initial reaction when I heard that it was gonna be $200 was, you've gotta be kidding me. Seriously? $200? Here's my take on it. I agree, $200 for a paddle seems to be pretty expensive given all of the other paddles that are out there right now. However, if this quad carbon technology and the polycore results in this paddle lasting longer or playing effectively and optimally for a long period of time, that could ultimately save you money in the long run. We really don't know because this is really just brand new to market though. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, or if you want to see more paddle reviews, go ahead and click that like button. Make sure you subscribe, click the notification bell. That way all this new awesome content that Webby and I are putting out, you'll be notified right away and you can watch it. Thanks again, and we do hope to see you guys out on the courts again real soon. See ya.
Yeah, what
What are you doing? Why are you taking my pillow? Why are you stealing my pillow? She's such a bad girl.